Hi, I'm Gilah Kletenik, and I'm here with my co-host.
Rafe Neis.
Welcome to Aderaba, Jewish Studies on the Contrary.
So we've been spiritedly conversing and arguing for quite a few years, sometimes in person and sometimes on a very old-fashioned device known as a telephone.
That's right, we have. And many a colleague and friend suggested that perhaps we ought to launch a podcast, that we ought to let the world, all of you listeners, hear a little bit of the kind of conversation and argumentation that regularly transpires between Rafe and me.
And many colleagues, friends, and enemies actually asked us not
Frenemies.
enemies asked us not to do this. And that's what motivated us to do it. When we got that survey of 2,000 people begging us not to start a podcast, we realized it's time.
And we thought, on the contrary.
On the
And
contrary.
so the name Aderaba is an Aramaic word that actually is now also used in modern Hebrew. And it is said to be an abridgment of the phrase Aderaba mine, upon what is greater than it, meaning the lesser has now overtaken the greater. It's not just that what you thought was the case was mistaken, but actually the complete opposite is so.
And so it could also be used as sort of, on the contrary, the opposite is true. So it's a sort of perverse turning over of what you might think. Are you starting to get the point, listeners? Are we being
Are we being
heavy handed?
Are we being a little too obvious? So
We like
that's
that.
so that's really what this podcast is about. Our aim is to share our critical lenses on Jewish studies.
Whatever that is. In other words, whatever Jewish studies is,
Yes, that's right. And to interrupt each other as we just did now.
in completely choreographed ways. And I should say, we are committed to the potential of Jewish sources for thinking otherwise.
Which is to say, to help us see ourselves and our moment differently. And that's really the hope of our podcast, to start a conversation that is orienting, grounding, challenging, and of course, a little contrarian.
Absolutely. And maybe we should just run through a few of those episodes to give you a sense of the both big and extremely trivial questions that we take on.
Our first episode, Have Trans People Always Existed? What would the rabbis say?
You've heard from Jesus. It's high time we've heard from the rabbis.
Our second episode, What's Bad About Being in the Image of God?
Or as I like to say, what's so good?
Third episode, Why Halacha Isn't Law?
Or as I pronounce it in my fake London accent, law.
Episode 4, What's Wrong with the So-Called West?
Yeah, I have no rejoinder. Sorry, Gila.
Everything is wrong with it.
Everything. Right.
Episode 5, Jewish Studies, Naturally.
And leaning heavily into the unnatural, the deviant, of course.
And finally, episode 6, Where is Jewish Studies Today?
Or as I like to call it, it's Wednesday. Thank you for laughing. That makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no
No,
sense, but this is what makes me a good co-host. I laugh
exactly.
even when your jokes are, how shall we say, not quite up to par.
Correct, which you don't do IRL. You do not do it in real life, sadly.
Only when there's an audience, listeners.
I like you when you're performing.
Oh. I think that is a good entree. Is there anything else we need to tell our listeners?
I mean, there's so much, dear listeners, that you need to be told. And it's just so kind of us to take the trouble to tell you. And of course, our sponsors, one of whom is the Frankel Center for Judaic Studies. That's a person.
And the Strom Center for Jewish Studies at the University of Washington.
And that's a center, not a person. I think the ruling has not come out yet on centers, has it?
Well, they're debating whether there is male or female there.
Correct. And whether they can consent.
No
Yes.
spoilers
And
here.
we want to add that the tone of Aderaba is elevated, respectable, highly salutary. And we are hoping for a wide listenership. We're imagining folks who are interested in Jewish studies, whether they themselves are students, scholars, interested community members of various publics.
That's right. We're interested in a wide audience. And the truth is, our podcast is not just for people within the academic field of Jewish studies or people who are interested in Jewish ideas or Jewish
Correct.
curious. It's also, we take on a wide range of, I would say, disciplines in the humanities in which we're both positioned. So throughout the episodes, you'll hear us talking from these and also putting a critical lens as we look at not just the fields of rabbinics and Jewish studies, but also history and classics, philosophy and critical theory. So basically, this
And
podcast
even
is
modern Jewish thought.
even modern Jewish thought. Yes, that's right. This podcast we hope is for everyone, open to a little contrariness.
Correct. Or even closed to a little contrariness. Come, listen to us, disagree with
Adjacent.
us, be caught up in the contrariness by actually disagreeing with our contrariness.
That's right. We're actually, and I think this is a great way to conclude. We're hoping that this podcast is the beginning of a conversation on these topics and these questions as we look critically at Jewish texts and sources and the field of Jewish studies, narrowly construed, but also quite broadly construed. So I want to thank our listeners. Thanks for being here with us, and thanks for your enthusiasm about what's to come.
And Gilah, I want to thank you.
Thank you, Rafe.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening to Aderaba. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate the show and leave a comment. It really helps others find us. And if something in today's conversation got you thinking, sparked a new question, or made you want to keep the conversation going, share it with a friend. That's how ideas spread. You can also follow us on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time, thanks for being part of the conversation.